Hi everyone, this is Erin with Ariengabriella. Hope you're doing great. Let me grab my wine. It's been a really long week, so I'm just kind of like going for it. But today I want to talk to you about the fact, or really how I have gone about learning or proving that God is not a man, or that using the pronoun he in our modern times to describe God is not really even remotely accurate in any way, shape, or form. So the reason that I know this is because I have studied the divine genders within the concept of energy. So basically there are two genders, okay? There is masculine and there is feminine. And the feminine energy is the creative energy, basically. It's almost like the seed or the egg that exists before the baby or, you know, the flower, right? It's that pivotal source of all creation, that kind of like untapped potential energy that when utilized correctly manifests an unbelievable, really anything you want. You know, if you are kind of using the energy appropriately, you can manifest anything you want with the divine feminine energy. People who have a strong divine feminine energy are highly creative, usually highly compassionate. There's lots of benefits to that, but you know, we do live in a patriarchal world, so the full power of that feminine energy isn't, you know, it just isn't, we haven't really seen anything like it in our lifetimes, but you know, hopefully as this decade rolls on, we'll be able to understand it more and more. The divine masculine energy is the kind of that take charge energy that you need in order to create anything. It's that action oriented energy. It's the doer energy. It is the force necessary to manifest. So I feel like the best metaphor that I could possibly come up with masculine and feminine energies is, first of all, you need both energies to make anything physical. For example, take like a Lego building. So if I were to give a gender to the act of taking, you know, a box of Legos and making it into like a Lego city, the Lego blocks, like the individual Lego blocks, would be kind of the feminine energy. You need them to create a Lego city, because if you have no Legos, you have no Lego city. So it's like basically the core essence necessary to create is that divine feminine energy. And then the divine masculine energy would be the energy that you put into putting each individual Lego together to create a city, right? Just the same way that, you know, an idea exists in your mind. Well, that idea, that kind of creative potential, like that idea that popped in your mind is, you know, you need to have like a very divine feminine connection to be able to even think up new, highly original thoughts of any sort. And human beings have that by their very nature, because, you know, they're human beings and their core, like in their fullest divine essence, inhabit both genders, the masculine and the feminine. So, you know, it's just natural for us. Like, that's why there's so many crazy creative like things that happen in this world. Like, I think the other day I was just watching a YouTube video of some random chick who was like, she was skating on rollerblades, but she was like creatively skating like an ice skater, like in and out of these cones. And it was like the trippiest thing I've ever seen. I'll probably put a link to it below just so you guys can see it if it tickles your fancy. But I was watching it and I was just like, damn, like human beings are amazing. We come up with the craziest shit and it's so entertaining. Like, and the reason for that is because the soul is both feminine and masculine. then, we just have that by our very nature, even though we live in a very patriarchal world, and we live in a place where, unfortunately, like, we don't have yet an understanding of how to kind of fully sit in the divine feminine and take full advantage of all the divine feminine has to offer. We still have aspects of that in our society, or really in the creative process, I think is a more accurate way to say that. So that's divine feminine. Got off track a little bit, but going back to my Lego analogy, basically, like, the divine feminine are the Legos, and like the divine masculine is the energy used to put the Legos together to create a city. So when you put the two together, then you have all the tools that you need for manifestation. So as far as this God thing, I know, like, it's very common in the Bible for people to say, I think it's written, especially in the King James Version. Not very privy to the other versions, and I think there's a reason for that. I mean, there's over a dozen different interpretations of the Bible that have been written. The King James Version is the most popular for a reason, because it is the one that is the most supportive of the kind of the current matrix structure that we are all living in. At the end of the day, like, the Bible is not the Word of God. It was heavily edited. I mean, who knows what it was in its purest form. It might have been, the amazing book that, everyone may have wished for, and may have given us all these amazing answers to the questions that all of us kind of think. But who knows? That's long gone. But basically, the King James Version of the Bible is the version of the Bible that King James, like the King of England, edited with the Pope and some other kind of rich white guys back in England when their reign was kind of being threatened because everyone was turning to a God that was completely separate from the church. So, definitely keep the situational and historical context in mind when you are dealing with the Bible in any way, shape, or form. And again, it does have a lot of great information, but it also has a lot of misinformation. One of the major pieces of misinformation is this patriarchal interpretation of God, or really like anything holy. God is always referred to as He. And also important to note, just like as a historical fact, that the words he and the word man way back in the day were gender neutral terms. So in our understanding, like, he and man would obviously mean, like, some literally what that sounds like, but it's highly possible that when this was written, the words he and man simply meant like a they, like a he or a she. So that's really important point. But I'm talking about the modern interpretation when I talk about the idea that God is a man. And that is inherently false, because at the end of the day, like, women came first. Like, there, I said it. Women came first. I know that, like, in the book of Genesis, they have the story about the Bible and, Eve being made from Adam's rib. Like, just understand that, like, the Bible is just full of parables. Like, there's just a lot of metaphors and a lot of symbolism that don't mean what they literally mean, the way they're literally written. So it's fundamentally impossible for God to be a man, or like for a man to somehow have existed on earth before women, because at the end of the day, like, everything that is created from the feminine, like, in any way, shape, or form, whether it's feminine energy or in the physical form of the female form, like the female body. It's like, there's no way you can have a baby without a woman. It just does not happen at all. So the idea that, like, any humans existed before a woman, it doesn't make any sense. I know, like, everyone likes to believe that Adam was the first human. No, it was definitely like Eve or some sort of equivalent of that. Like, just period, full stop. Like, women were here first, and then women had the babies, and then, that is how the earth was populated. As far as this God is not a man business, I like to go with the common, like, Hermetic saying, like, as above, so below, which basically means that in order, like, on every layer of our reality and our universe, you can get some evidence on how things are working on an energetic level by looking at the way things work in nature. So because we know that the female form is like the only form that can produce a baby, and because I just spent the first half of this video talking about divine feminine and divine masculine energy and how, like, you literally cannot create anything unless you have really both the masculine and the feminine, but especially that feminine, like that proverbial Lego, or that core essence necessary to build, or manifest what you want. Like, it's impossible for God to be a man, because God is technically the all or everything. And in order for the all to exist, it has to encompass both the masculine and the feminine. So technically, God is both a male and a female. Well, energetically speaking, right? I mean, ultimately, God is just like the pure divine love essence. Like, that's what they are at their core, but just kind of referring to God as He is, I think fundamentally just off. And I think I would challenge anybody who watches this video to just really think about anything that exists in nature, or like anything that has existed in their life that was created without some female in some form, and then to also kind of do their own studying of divine feminine and divine masculine energy, and kind of understand how those energies work together to understand how anything is created. So, I mean, there's no way that any of this, anything that you see here today, or anything that even yourselves or anyone around you and that you love, could have been created without male and female together. It's just the bottom line. And energetically speaking, it's the same way. You need your core feminine essence, which would be, that egg or that seed or that Lego, which is my favorite analogy, so I will always use it. And you need the force necessary to put that essence together and make it something new. So that is basically that. I hope it made sense. I mean, the concept of gender to me is like, it's quite confusing. It took me a long time to get the hang of it. So it wouldn't surprise me if, this video is a little confusing. I would just simply say that in order to be able to understand like masculine and feminine energies from an energetic perspective, you really have to kind of start from scratch and not use any frame of reference that you may commonly associate with gender to try to understand divine gender. Like, it just, if you try to like look at the way that men and women are functioning today in our society, and it's not going to make any sense, because there's just so much about our gender roles and so much about the way gender is kind of being politicized in our society today that's completely and utterly just distorting and confusing the way that male and female, divine feminine and divine masculine, work together and support each other. So it's just like, I kind of had to just throw out everything that I thought that I knew, or everything that I learned so far about my concept of what gender even was, to be able to begin to wrap my head around what it is on a divine level, and how feminine and masculine energies work when you're talking about creation and then be able to apply that to concepts like God or like any other things. So yeah, I mean, this is just, again, like a very introductory video. You know, let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them, but that's all for now. Again, my name is Ariengabriella of ariengabriella.com. My company is launching very soon, so you can go to my website, ariengabriella.com, join my email list. And if you want to hear more content, I mean, again, I post mostly about spiritual topics and, you know, how I've come to understand the world in which we live in. Definitely subscribe. I post, you know, as often as I am called. Thanks so much.